In this podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about. This may not be for everybody. So, in this, we're going to talk about what it's like for community college teachers in graphic design. So, everybody else is going to have to pretty much take this with a grain of salt. So, when you are working with community college students, last time we kind of talked about how you're going to listen and what are some good ways to try to get the students peaked towards making sure that they can find their end goals. But in this piece, it's a good idea to try to figure out what are some of the common end goals that students have. And when you find that there are common end goals, are there things that you can say to prompt that to come to light? And if there is a way that you can prompt these ideas to come to light, can you practice them until they are ones that you have in your quiver, as to say, so that you can draw them at a moment's notice? So if you're thinking here that you'll probably gain nothing for this, I urge you, go ahead and stick with it for 4 or 5 minutes and just see. Because the key here is not so much what we're saying. The key here is not to reinvent the wheel. Go to school based on someone else's experience and what works for them. And once you see the common issues that seem to pop up from one person to the next, then you'll see that you can stand on the shoulders of someone whose work has come before you, and by looking over these by looking over these reactions and common issues, you can find yourself in a place where you can tailor, or custom tailor, that's probably a nicer way to say it, you can custom tailor your responses to your particular line of work. So sometimes when I am, good gosh, leave me alone. So sometimes when I am dealing with a student who is not working up to their potential, but a student who doesn't have anything holding them back, the problem that I end up trying to discuss with them at length is that they're not spending enough time on their work. Now, within our industry, the more time you spend on the work, the better your concept will be. The better your concept will be, the more time you spend on the work, the better your communication of that concept to the audience will be. And that's what really brings about the best solution. Once you've got a good communication method, the more time you spent on the execution of that method, the more technically superior your work will be. And that's exactly where you want them to be. So sometimes you can use a 3-question system. And so it starts out with, I see that you have this problem. Wouldn't you like to get better grades, or whatever it is that you're trying to get them to adjust? Wouldn't you like to have this happen? And you explain, like, you kind of work in whatever the benefit of doing the action is. And they'll almost always say, yeah, of course I want better grades. So, wouldn't you like to earn those better grades? All you have to do is follow these simple methods. Most of the time they'll say, wouldn't you like to have whatever the benefit is? And they would say, yes, of course I want to have that. I just said that I wanted the benefit. So then you kind of follow up with, if you know you want it and you would like to have that happen to you, then why don't you, and you drop in the next little series. Sometimes, if in our case it's working with someone who needs more time, why don't you form a study group? Why don't you come meet with me and show me your work? Why don't you pick 2 or 3 classmates and send them your work in the preliminary stage and see if they'll email you back? But the 3-question system is a great one. Wouldn't you like to have this? Don't you see the benefit of doing this to achieve that? And why don't we go ahead and start today? So it might go like this. Chris, wouldn't you like to get some better grades in this class? Yes, I would. Don't you see how getting some better grades in this class would improve your portfolio, would improve your GPA, and make you feel better about the work that you would do? Yes, I would love to feel better about the stuff that I do. Well, if you're interested in getting those better grades, wouldn't you like to maybe start today? Once they answer yes to those 3 questions, then you're on the way. Now, if they say like, yes, I want better grades, yes, I could see how better grades would make me feel better and put me in a better spot. Do I want to start today? Not really. I think that maybe after the break would be a good time to start. Well, then you probably haven't convinced that person enough yet, or maybe there's something that they're not telling you. So just kind of be aware that sometimes, you can lead the student to the solution, but you can't make them do it. So if you have a student who is trying to solve a problem related to their performance, or the way they go about solving their problems, or the way they prepare for materials upcoming, if you've looked over the problem with them and you've really listened and you've presented some facts to them in a way that you can be pretty much assured that the answer to the first question will be a positive yes, then that system is probably going to work for you. Just remember, you want to tie the emotion to the logic of the solution. So, don't you want to get better grades? Of course I want them. I want better grades right now. Well, if you want better grades, perhaps you could get that by doing this. Would now be a good time for you to get started on getting those better grades? Yes, they would. So just think about it that way. If not, it might be a better idea for you to try to help them solve that problem with a probability-related solution, such as this. Mr. Dockery, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being very likely and 1 being not that likely, where do you think you stand on the decision that you really should put a little bit more time and effort into your work so that you can achieve the good grades that you want? Now, it's important here to really be subtle. You want to pause when you're done. You don't want to make it seem like you're trying to dupe them into a particular answer. You want them to think about it. You don't want to give them any wiggle room for indecision, right? So if they know that it's something that's good for them, but they just don't want to have to do it, putting it on a scale of 1 to 10 will allow them to choose something a little lower down the scale and not feel bad. At which point you know a little bit more about the situation. And a lot of times communication with somebody is not always easy. It is not easy to tell someone that they need to change. It's not. There's plenty of girlfriends out there that will tell you that they have tried to tell their boyfriends that they need to change, and there's plenty of boyfriends out there that will tell their girlfriends that they need to change, or whatever your analog may be. But change is not easy. So sometimes there may be someone out there who knows that they should change. Look, I'm telling you right now, my name is Tyler Dockery, and I am overweight, and I know that I should eat less. I know it. I know it in my heart of hearts. But I'm hungry. That makes a big difference. in a lot of decisions that I make. So when someone says, don't you know that you should eat less? Yes, I do. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think that you should eat less today? I would say that I'm a 10. Well, good, that's great. How likely are you to start eating less today? Probably a 3. What? How could that possibly be? Well, it's one thing to know it and it's another thing to do it. So when you give them, I got off the topic there, but when you give someone a value range, they'll give you a pretty honest answer. And if the answer is a 7 or above, that they're ready to make that change, but it's not a 10, then you probably just want to come straight out and ask them. And don't be afraid about it. Just be open and honest. Okay, well, if you're at a 7 right now, what do you think that it will take to move you to a spot where you're at a 10? What can I do for you today that will help convince you that you really should make this difference today? Because, again, if you already know that they're not where they want to, if you went into the conversation knowing that they should make the change, and they know it too, if you've given them some background and some reasons about why their work was not as good as it could have been, and you've laid out your arguments for how it could change, but they're still not convinced, you won't know until you say, well, about how convinced are you that you should make this change right now? I'm about a 7. Oh, a 7. Well, what would it take to get you to a 10 today? Oh, well, what it would take is I would have to work really hard on the next project, and the next project would really have to be an A for me to make that change today. They want the solution before they do the work. So you may have to talk with them about that. On the other hand, if you are finding consistently that when you're asking somebody about how likely are you to make that change today, that if they are saying to you, I'm about a 6 or less, then you know that you need to make a change in the way that you're presenting your answers. Because you're not presenting your materials in a way that is even at a C level, right? If you can't get 70% buy-in with your strongest arguments about why they should make these changes, then your arguments just aren't good enough. Now, this percentile close is, not close, but this percentile argument is a good one to use if you are giving a solution to someone and you're doing your level best, but you're getting a feeling like there is a problem or an issue that needs to be brought out into the light. And occasionally this will occur if you're doing everything right, but you just get this feeling that something's not working out properly. But by bringing that feeling out into the light and getting any objections that people might have, this open communication allows you to solve each and every one of those problems one at a time. So if this person is telling you, yes, I do need to study more, but how much do you think you could do? I think I'm about a 4. Oh, well, what would it take to get you a 7? What would it take to make you a 10 today? Well, studying with someone else would really need to be convenient. But unfortunately, it's not convenient. The reason it's not convenient, you might be able to work out of them, is that they have a sick parent at home, so they can't leave. They also have a young child at home, and they have a part-time job so that they can help with the medical bills of the sick parent. That means that for them to meet with someone to study group on campus it would take travel time. They would have to arrange for a babysitter, and they simply have too many things going on with their life for them to be able to make it to a study session. But that doesn't mean that you can't solve that problem. It just kind of lets us know that this student has time-related issues and they need either someone to come to their location, or they need to have a better way that they can come to school early or stay late to do that study session, or try to study with somebody asynchronously, or build, maybe they need to use an online tool. The last way that you can help your students come to some good decisions is after you have talked with them about what kind of issues they may have, you talked with them about some possible solutions that they can get started on to help them get better grades, better projects, help them solve minor issues that may be blocking their way to success, is to use a summary. Now, the summary is something that may seem very basic. It may seem like it is the lowest common denominator, no-brainer approach to solving issues related to problems. But don't ever discount that. So when you're summing up at the end of a problem-solving session, talk about what the issue is, but revisit all of the subject or the subject patterns that really made the student's eyes light up or really made the light bulb go on, so that they were on board with the changes that need to be made, so that you can highlight those emotional decisions and make sure that the emotional decisions are backed up with logical reasons why they should make those adjustments. An example of this approach may sound something like this. Darcy, you've agreed that you really do want to get better grades in this class, and you want to have good portfolio pieces. You've also heard and understood and agreed that probably the easiest way to make that happen would be to have more time on this process. And you could tell that the benefit of having more time on this process would be longer time for better concepts, longer times for better refinement of the good design ideas that you want to see happen, and a better technical expertise by having more time to make small, minor adjustments rather than running out at the end. Does that sound about right to you? When they answer in the positive, that's when you go and step in and say, well, why don't we begin today to make the changes that are going to give you that time? Or, well, why don't we set a plan for the next project so that you can try it out? You see, when someone is trying to sell you something, they find out when you are getting excited about the benefits that they're going to give you. But when you are trying to solve a problem with a student, you're trying to reach them emotionally. You're trying to say, this is a problem that you're having, and this is a way that you can solve that problem. And if you begin by using this system to solve that problem today, you will have a great set of long-term benefits that won't just deal with this issue, but will help you on greater problems moving forward in other classes or other locations, perhaps even within your professional lifetime. When you revisit the benefits of doing this work, that emotional grab will allow people the slack to make that decision right away, and they'll step in and they'll take it. However, any number of things may stop them from being as excited. So when you talk with them about the problem of not spending enough time on their work, and point out that if they spend just a little more time with their sketching. They can have great concepts. If they spend just a little more time on their refinements, they can have pieces that look both exciting and modern. They can have good color combinations. They can have great types that really give people the look and feel without being able to read the words even yet, just the forms. They'll start to get a little bit excited about all the things that they'll be able to do to have a great working solution. However, there is always something that may stop them to get excited. They may at first think that it's a great idea. I can set aside that time today. And as you talk a little bit longer, it may begin to creep into their mind. They won't be able to watch their favorite shows if they're spending more time working. They may not be able to throw the ball around with their child if they're ready working. They won't be able to read a story to their kid if that by just shaving off 15 minutes here or 20 minutes there, they'll be able to have more time to do their work. And once they've had all the time for their work, then they'll have unlimited time. Their excitement may begin to diminish. However, by using a summary approach at the end, you can begin to rekindle those points of flame that got them very excited in the solutions in the first place. So, if you see their excitement beginning to wane, go ahead and take that moment to go ahead and make the summary and help them choose the proper decisions. By tying into those emotions, they will feel the necessity to make the change that you've talked about, and they're ready to go. In addition to making the change that you've outlaid, you'll find that they may actually be quite excited about the future. Whenever you find that you've made a request and the request looks like it's going to be offered, go ahead when it's all done and ask a follow-up question. And just say, today we've talked about this issue and we've talked about some good working solutions, and you sound like you're going to make the right decision here. Could you do me a favor and tell me just one thing that you are really excited about regarding this adjustment? Now, you've started by laying out and helping them solve a problem. After you've helped them to solve a problem, you've explained good reasons why, and you've recapped what it is that they've done. They're going to be happy and pleased and excited about what the future is going to bring. On top of all that, you're going to go ahead and start to talk with them about something they're excited about this solution. This is a great way for you to strengthen the relationship. You've just done them a good turn. You've helped them solve a problem. They would love to be able to do you a good turn in return. So, talk with them about one thing that they like. This will strengthen their excitement over the work that they're going to have to do, and it's going to strengthen the emotion of the good things that are to come. But in addition to that, you're bringing up those good feelings again, and you're pointing out that you've made an assisting idea that they are going to do. They're going to like you. The relationship is going to get better, and you're going to affirm that relationship by asking a minor favor. It's a great thing to do. To apply this knowledge today, think about recurring issues that pop up and how these 3 ways could be used relating to you and your students' situations. But don't forget the 3 P's that are going to be involved. Make sure to tailor these to your personality. Make sure to tailor these to your product or service or educational style. And finally, practice, practice, practice. Once you have adjusted these to fit your personality, and once you've adjusted them to fit the product that you're trying to help people learn or use, practice it over and over and over again until you can feel confident to use these as a way to breach that gap, help solve those problems, and sound professional and totally at ease bringing that up. I hope you found this helpful. Please feel free to share this with like-minded individuals. Subscribe so that you don't miss any of our materials. Feel free to comment in the doobly-doo below. And absolutely blow up that like button. I appreciate it, and by all means, design your future.